Welcome back to this episode of BPI. We are here with Bryan Norris. Welcome, Bryan.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. Appreciate it, brother. Thanks for
being with us. Yeah. Glad you're here. Bryan is a candidate for Secretary of State. He will be on the ballot in March for the primary, and he'll be, we believe he'll be there again in November for the general election. Bryan, glad you're here. Want to jump right into it, I think. Okay. Let's start with the most recent. You filed a lawsuit yesterday. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. So bottom line up front is our rights come from God, and they're endowed in our Constitution, and it's the government's responsibility to protect those rights. 4 federal lawsuits have said that exit polling is a First Amendment right across the nation. Our state decided to take away that right from us. And I served this nation for over 20 years to vanguard those rights. And so when I see such egregious behavior taking place, if not me, then who? And it affects me in my race because one of the checks on power for an election to make sure everything's above board is exit polling. Because mathematically, it just works out that if you get a snapshot of enough people to tell you how they voted on a particular measure, you can extrapolate that out and get a pretty good assessment about where you stand, right?
Okay.
So if you cannot do that, then that's just another loss in transparency in our election. And for a state that is consistently at last place in voter turnout or very close to it, that's the last thing we need is less transparency. We need to bring back confidence in our elections. We need to make sure that the people of Arkansas can trust the outcome of it and not take away opportunities that solidify that trust.
Yeah, I agree with you. So the measure was passed to, I guess what I want to ask is, was it intended to? There's a backstory here. There's a lot of stuff going on that built up to this. And was it intended to hinder exit polling or what? Doesn't change the fact that it does. I understand that.
I don't think so. I don't think it was nefarious. But a lot of times people don't really think through the second, third order effects of decisions.
Right.
So there was an issue where people were handing out water bottles that had a label on it for some organization in line. And maybe that's a little bit untoward or whatever. So you want to solve that problem. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and take away my liberties in order to satisfy that requirement.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? Which is in effect what they did. And that's where we are today. Well, now you just broad stroke said nobody can do it. Well, that's collective punishment, and you're reducing my liberties by doing that. So I'm not okay with that.
Right.
I don't think it was nefarious in nature. I don't think they were trying to necessarily target exit polling, but it created the vehicle in which they could then use it as a political tool to go after individuals that they may not like or agree with, and that's wrong.
Yeah, and again, I takes nothing away. The fact that it does hinder exit polling is whether it was your intentions.
And the selective enforcement of it too, right? So we saw videos of the governor inside where people were voting, advocating for President Trump when he was running for office.
Right.
Which is electioneering.
Right.
But there were no charges filed there.
Right.
And then you have another individual who was conducting actual exit polling. And then this law is being used to go after him. Right. Which is Colonel Conrad Reynolds.
Okay.
So if you were being consistent, that would be one thing. But when you're not being consistent, the average Joe looks at this as like, well, we have a 2-tier justice system. Rules for thee, but not for me. And why is it okay for this person to do it, but not for me? And laws are only as good as they're enforced. And when you selectively enforce laws, you reduce confidence in leadership that's enforcing those laws. And then they degrade the rule of law. And no one wins with that.
Right. So what I'm hearing from you is about like internal dispute in the Republican Party. And I'm aware that there is some, probably not as entirely as aware as some people are, because I'm not involved in it in any way, but I have a somewhat understanding of it. Mm-hmm. What's going on there? I mean, I feel, I understand. Okay. I hear words and I don't even know what they mean. I understand that there's a grassroots movement of Republicans, and I understand that that they're not seeing things eye to eye with the way that these establishment Republicans are voting on things that are going on. I hear words that seem like, just when I hear them, they sound like they have a negative context, like rhino and neocon, and I don't even know what they mean. What's that all? What is going on? What does that help me? What does it mean? What's that all about?
There's a whole lot there. And to be honest with you, I don't fully understand all of it, what it all stems from. But I'll say this. Iron sharpens iron. We should not be afraid, and we should not run away from disagreements. Because within our own party, if we do have disagreements and we allow those disagreements to face scrutiny amongst ourselves, guess what we get to do? We get to separate the wheat from the chaff and fine tune our arguments and come out of those environments as a unified front with solid front a pathway to success on stuff, right? Solid ideas that are grounded in truth, have faced the crucible of challenge, and have come out victorious because it's a good way. It's a good idea. It's truth. But a lot of people, it seems like, would just have it their way. Right. And you experienced this in the military. You served as well. The best way to determine a good commander from a bad commander is immediately when you had a good commander when you leave a unit and find a bad one. Right. That's typically when you're going to realize it in the moment. Right. Same with a boss.
Right.
You won't realize how good that boss actually truly was until you get a bad one. Then you know what you were missing. Right. We've all had great leaders. And when we have great leaders, we have prosperity. You might complain and stuff. If soldiers ain't complaining, they're not happy. Right. It is what it is. But there's a difference between complaining and actual degradation of what it is that you're going for. And I hate to say this, but, the Democrats ran the state of Arkansas for 100 years or more, whatever, right? They didn't take away my liberties. But this has taken away my liberty. And the petition bills that were sponsored by my opponent as well took away my liberty, guaranteed to me by the state constitution to state a grievance and change things at the lowest level possible. And we're Republicans. We believe in smaller government. We believe that the people rule. We believe that you can manifest your destiny. We believe that you can change your stars and change your outcome, right? And if you have the best idea in the public square, you can solicit people over, state your opinions, win them over, and then win at the ballot box. But what they did to me was they sued me all the way to the state Supreme Court just to take the ability to put a decision before you at the ballot box, right? Now, I wasn't forcing it on anyone. I wasn't mandating that you supported this position.
So what position are you talking? You were sued?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
by whom?
By the state of Arkansas.
Okay.
By my county, I guess you could say.
Right.
So back in the 2024, we put a ballot measure for Independence County only for the citizens to have a choice in how their elections would be taken and counted in the future, right? Do you want hand marked and hand counted paper ballots, or do you want to stick with what we have now? Well, during that process, when we turned in our petition drive, the county clerk deemed the title insufficient. And the title was the 2024 hand marked and hand counted paper ballot initiative 2024.
Okay.
Right. Pretty clear. So we appealed or we filed suit with the circuit clerk and we won. Well, they decided that wasn't good enough. So they appealed it to the state Supreme Court and we won there as well. And when the people got to vote on it, 63% of the voters decided that that's what they wanted to go with.
They wanted to go with paper ballots.
Wanted to go with paper ballots.
Okay.
So we're the first county known in America in which the people chose how their votes would be taken and counted. And you would think you'd hear about that a little bit more, right?
Right.
But no, sadly not. And to be honest with you, when this whole thing kicked off, I was indifferent about it. I wasn't educated on the issue very much, but I'm a member of the Republican Party, the county committee, and I'm a district rep. And the purpose of the county committee is to help enact the will of the people, find strong, good conservative candidates who will enact the will of the people, to educate the county on issues happening in their area so they can make an educated decision at the ballot box. So when I'm sitting in that role and that's my duty, and people are bringing this issue to me and asking me to figure it out for them, and I do so, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing?
Right.
And that's what kind of fired me up a little bit was we're not mandating that you do that. We're just giving people a choice, and you're trying to take a choice away from them. I have an issue with that.
Right.
And so here we
Yeah,
are.
I understand paper ballots is one of the biggest contentions between those two groups. I think there's a few, but I think from what I have heard, read, and seen, that seems to be the biggest one. And I'm admittedly, I don't know all of these things. I got to ask, do you not believe that the human factor of someone having the ability to, I mean, hand count that thing? Who's going to say they're going to do it right? I mean, I don't know. I trust my computers to do my math correctly.
Yeah.
Because I'm not as good at it as my computer is. Right.
Mhm.
So, and you've shared some things with me, and as to where you stand on this, I feel like people make more mistakes than computers, but you do.
They may. But you can put safeguards around people and quality control and quality checks. But here's the thing, Chris. Why don't we have both? Multi-factor authentication of the ballot, right?
Right.
Remember in high school when you used to take tests and you'd run it through the machine that would calculate it for you?
Yes. Yes.
Why can we not do the same thing now? We can keep the tabulators
Right.
and run them through the machine to get a count. And then guess what? The machine count should match the hand count, and the hand count should match the machine count. And now you have two sources.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Why would you not? When you go to the bank
Sure.
and you draw out a large sum of money, what does the bank do?
Sure.
They run it through a
Yeah.
machine and then they count it out right in front
Absolutely.
of you. Right? To me, that's just another check to make sure that we got it right. One of the things, the issue with the machines that we have right now is your computer is only as true and good as the programmer behind it. And in the state of Arkansas with ES&S machines, we are not allowed to know who is actually programming those machines because it's proprietary knowledge. We're not allowed to see it. We're not allowed to look at it. Supreme Court said we can't. I have an issue with that because how can we have a transparency clause in our Constitution, but then we can't see the code? And the code is what tells you what the machine is actually doing. So that's a flag for me as well,
Okay.
right? So we don't know that. But and we don't know the name of the individual that actually owns ES&S. We don't know who the person is. We know it's run through an organization that's incorporated somewhere else, but we don't know the names of the individuals on it. I have issue with that as well too. What is their allegiance? Who do they work for? Are they American?
Who can see the software? I mean, to make sure I understand this, you're telling me that the software in the machines, we don't really know how it counts. We don't know how it works.
We're not allowed to.
We're not allowed to look
ES&S
at it.
technicians are the
Who
ones
does
that do
know?
that. ES&S technicians,
Who are they?
people that work for ES&S.
Okay.
They're contracted out or they're employees of ES&S that come in and do stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how that works. And I'm not a big fan of that.
Right.
But I also know that I do like multi-factor authentication, but the issue with the way that our machines work now is there's no way to validate voter intent,
Okay.
right? So when you go to the machines and you look at your ballot and you print your ballot off and you take it over and put it in, the average Arkansan only looks at their ballot for 2.3 seconds. If you're in Pulaski County, you could have 50 different races on your ballot between all the school boards and all that stuff, right? In
Right.
2.3 seconds, did you really validate everything that you did, right?
Right.
And when the machine makes a mistake, they spoil the ballot and you redo it and you do another one, right? Those are the only ones where people were paying attention and they saw the mistake being made. With paper, when you actually have to physically hand mark it, your intention is immediately known because you had to physically put it next to the name that you wanted, right? And if you do the ballots in such a way that can be counted by a machine, well, then your physical intention is recorded and known, and you can verify that voter's intent via the mark.
Right.
When you run it through the machine, it's being tabulated by a machine that's going to then be certified against the hand count, which should match the machine count. So now you've got voter intent that's audible with a machine count that should match the hand count, and it's more transparent, more accurate, more fair.
You know what I think? I believe the average voter, when they go into to vote, I believe they're intimidated. I believe that they don't.
They're nervous.
I believe they're nervous. I believe that most people don't. It's something you do once a year. I don't really know exactly where I'm supposed to go and what I'm supposed to do. And then they get in there and they hear, and there's people like you who know these things because you've made it your business very much to understand how it goes. But I think that just the average voter that walks in, just like they don't know about conflicts within the Republican Party or things like that, that they don't really understand the process. And I think that stuff like people want to see progress. I think they want to see us move forward and they want to see us do good things. But they don't want to see politics. People are tired of politics. They're tired of infighting. They're tired of those things. You said a minute ago that just because we disagree, that's even more reason to have a conversation, something to that effect. And I agree with that. I agree with that as far as to say that should happen with Republicans and Democrats no differently than it should happen in house, right? That's how we're going to move our country forward. And I think people are overwhelmed by these politics that we're talking about. And
it can be. But if you ever get to meet my kids, one of the things that you'll notice about our family is my kids know that they can be combative against me when it comes to things. If like when we began running for Secretary of State, I sat down with my family and we talked about it. And I asked them, what do I need to do to make sure that I'm present? And what safeguards do you want me to put in place to make sure that you still get quality time from me? And my kids came back with a few things. One was no phone after 5:30, no phones on Sunday, and make every breakfast that you can possibly make, right?
Right.
And if I'm at home and it's past 5:30 and I'm on my phone, my kids will quickly call me out.
Right.
And if it's on Sunday and I'm on, they will quickly call me out, right?
Yeah. You agree to it.
I don't chastise them for that.
Sure.
You know what? It's a little bit of humility to be like,
yeah,
you're right. I'm sorry. I would like to finish out what it is I'm doing right now, if that's okay with you. And then I'll put it down and focus on you. But you're absolutely right. I made that deal with you and you're calling me out on it. And that's fine. I live that way in the military. My soldiers, especially my NCOs, knew once they really figured it out, right? Because it's easy to come in new to a place and say that you're going to do this. But once they actually knew that I meant it, man, we would have some very knockdown, drag out meetings. They wouldn't like what I was doing. And I always told them, I said, when we're at this table and we're behind closed doors, we can do that. But when we leave, we're a unified front. It's the mission.
Right.
Because maybe I know some stuff that you don't know and I can't tell you that's coming down from higher. And you got to have your say, but guess what? We're still going to do it my way because I'm in charge right now. And one of these days you're going to get your chance, right?
Right.
But you're going to be on the team when we roll out. And you're going to respect it. And you're going to do what the commander wants. It was awesome to see that. And you know what? Sometimes they got to change my mind.
Right.
Sometimes they didn't. But you know what? Those individuals still call me today. They still send me emails. They still ask me for my advice and support on stuff. And they wouldn't have done that if I was just a bully in there dictating everything that they do all the time. They had buy-in. They were a part of the process. And more importantly, they had clarity on what it was that we were doing. They knew the why behind what it was that we were doing. And they knew that I respected them enough to at least listen to them. And that's fair.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You'd apply that back to the internal turmoil. And
I live my life that way.
Right.
You know, I don't mind being combative. I don't mind people being combative with me. You can be different than me. You can prefer steak and I prefer chicken. Like there's no one shooting at us. It's not that big of a deal. Right.
Right.
And guess what? If your position is better than mine, at some point in time, that's going to be made clear. And then I have two choices. I can either stick my head in the sand and pretend, or I can admit that I was wrong and move forward to better everyone else around me.
People have to be open-minded and humble enough to be able to see that.
Humility is a powerful thing.
Absolutely.
It's rare.
Yeah.
It's one of the most powerful tools I think you can have.
Humble enough to accept being wrong and open-minded enough to get there from listening to someone else.
I'll tell you a quick story on that kind of highlights it.
Yeah.
I learned very young as a private that when I was wrong, quickly admit it, right? Out loud in front of everyone. Because I realized when I did that, the punishments would be almost nothing. To give you an example, when I first figured this out, I didn't have my hat on when I was running into the PX cross base, right? Okay. And one thing about military community is they do on-the-spot corrections like nobody's business. And of course, I see a senior NCO across the parking lot. I can see his rank, and I see he's about to come after me. And I stop and I say, I'm screwed up. It's my fault. I left my hat. I'm running into the PX to the clothing and sales to get a new one. And I'm going to put it on and come out, and I will be right in a minute. And he was like, carry on.
Carry on.
Right? And that was powerful because I realized, one, I admitted that I was wrong. I gave them a solution to how I was going to get right. And then they respected that and left me alone. Now, if I lied or if I made excuses or if I'd danced around it, I'm going to be doing push-ups until I can't. And then I'm going to start doing flutter kicks, right?
Right.
You know, so there's power in it, but you got to have a little bit of humility to be like, you know what, I am wrong. So let's figure out how to not be wrong and move forward.
Right. It actually turns out real good because you learn something when you're wrong, in my experience, right? You learn.
Failure. Why are people so afraid of failure?
I don't know.
Failure is just one step in the process to getting it right.
Yeah, right. It's the first step to getting it better, to get better. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Right.
It is. It's the best teacher.
Right.
Because if you're never trying something different, you're never improving. And most of the times you're going to fail at it the first time, second time, third time. But if you don't give up and you keep pursuing, all of those failures will culminate to success.
Right.
But you can never get to success if you don't accept a few failures.
Right. Nice. So for those who don't know, why the Secretary of State position? Why did you choose to?
Great question. Sometimes things are just you kind of feel like there's something beyond time and space pushing you into a direction. And a lot of people don't believe me when I say this, but you can ask my wife, you can ask my friends in Batesville, you can ask my friends from the Army. My goal was to either be the mayor of Batesville or maybe run for state rep. That's my full intention of what I wanted to do. And that was it, because I believed, and I still believe, that that's where you can have the most impact on your local level. What's going to affect your day-to-day life, right? And I really thought the mayor race would. I thought I could really do a lot with Batesville with the mayor race. But events sometimes take us out of what it is that we want to do and force us into a position of things that, well, this is what you need to do and what you should do. And that's kind of the way that happened with this, from the paper balloting thing into just getting to know my state and where it is as far as the poverty level in it. And our numbers, like I'll give you some numbers. We rank 44 overall for business, economic opportunity. We rank 48 in health. We're number 50 for women and children. We are the number one food insecure state in the nation. Number one for food insecurity, right? Our average median income is only $50,000. We have the third highest sales tax rate at 9.48%. Our life expectancy is only 72, while the U.S. life expectancy is 77. And you can extrapolate that out, and what that does, that gives you an ALICE assessment. Have you ever heard of the ALICE assessment?
No, please.
Asset, limited income, contributions. I got the name of it here, but what it equates to is how much disposable income and quality of life can you have based with the money that you have right now? And we rank 48 out of 50 on that list.
Wow.
Which means in a state like California, their effective tax rate is near what ours is. They come in at about 10 to 10.5%. You just saw right there that we're at 9.48 across the state average.
Right.
Different counties are different. Actually, in Batesville, ours is 10%, the effective tax rate.
Right.
But in California, the average mean income is $125,000 a year.
Right. Right.
In Arkansas, it's $50,000.
Right.
So when you do the ALICE assessment, look at the delta between 50,000 and 125.
Right.
How much more disposable income are you going to have with 125,000 and an effective tax rate that's basically the same versus 50,000 with the same effective tax rate?
Right.
You don't have the buying power. And that's why we see the perpetual state of poverty in Arkansas for way too long. And if nothing changes, then nothing is going to change. So as Secretary of State, how do we fix that? And to give you another bellwether of what this means, my home in Arkansas that I purchased in 2021, I purchased it for $270,000. That home in 1983 cost $83,000. That's a 430% increase. The average wage back then was $30,000 to $35,000. And the average median income wage right now is only $50,000. That's a 15% increase, right?
Wow.
A 430% increase in the cost to afford the American dream, but your income has only went up 15%. The math does not math, right? So how do we fix this problem? Don't bring me a problem without a solution. One of the reasons why in the state of Arkansas that you have not seen wages increase is because there's not enough opportunity. Competition drives wages to go up. And if there's only a handful of large businesses that run an entire state, well, they own the employment opportunities for the state, right? and they can get together and decide what's their baseline going to be and increase their profitability across their operating areas via that respect. But if you bring in more employment, you bring in more choice, now these businesses have a realization. If I want to keep my best employees, I have to compensate them more than the other guy. So wages, capitalism works if you allow it to. Wages will have to be the upward byproduct of that eventuality. The Secretary of State should be the chief ambassador for business for the state of Arkansas. And you need to go out and solicit business to come and do business in this state. And one of the things I hear from small business owners all across the state is this: I could do more. I want to do more, but I'm not going to do more because I don't want to deal with the red tape. That's crazy. So we need to get the red tape. We need to get the hurdles out of the way so that these small business owners can do more because they want to do more. And then we need to bring in businesses from outside the state who will do more and bring more opportunities for you to create that competition environment. The largest wealth drain in our nation's history took place during COVID with businesses leaving California. And where did they go? They went to Texas, they went to Tennessee, and they went to Florida. Similarly, New York experienced a wealth drain, and it's happening even more now that Mondami was elected. Where are they going? Texas, Tennessee, and Florida. Michigan and Minnesota and Wisconsin saw a similar drain. Where did they go? Tennessee, Florida, and Texas. You have to ask yourself why.
Right.
Why are they bypassing Arkansas when we're more centrally located? We have waterways that can get to international water. Why are they bypassing the state of Arkansas? When I looked at it and pulled it back, the only thing I could see was our business environment is not friendly enough for them. So they chose other areas where they were more friendly. And I think we need to change that.
Wow. Wow. I hadn't thought about that. I mean, I understand that the secretary, but what goes into,
Well, you got to be able to have conversations with people,
right,
and build a relationship with them, and you have to sell them
right,
on the state of Arkansas. Like, what can you bring? Well, let's see. Maybe someone is dealing in some kind of paper industry, right? Maybe they make cardboard. Maybe they make X, Y, and Z, right? Or maybe they make jet fuel. Did you know you can turn pine pulp into jet fuel?
No.
We have a lot of pine in this state.
Yeah.
And guess what they're not doing right now? They're not cutting it because it costs money to actually cut their pine down. So why don't we go out and recruit some businesses that will come down and harvest that pine and turn that pine pulp into something, or turn that pine lumber into something usable for people, right?
Yeah.
At least give them a pathway to make some money instead of no money, right?
Right.
That's one avenue. But you also have right now an opportunity for the state of Arkansas to achieve financial success like it never has before. And that's the lithium deposits that are in South Arkansas. It is game changing for this state. Estimations are of $1 trillion worth of lithium down there. Why are we not looking at the second, third order effects of what this can bring to our state? And this is what I see. One, we make money on mining it ourselves. And that produces jobs, that produces wealth, that produces other things in the state. Then we integrate vertical manufacturing to where we produce the batteries that this lithium will provide, right? And then we create the battery banks in our state that can store excess power from the grid and then sell it back to the market at peak demand. And very, very soon is going to be very, very valuable, because AI is expected to consume 100% of what energy the United States produces today within 5 years. Now, we can produce more energy, but there's nowhere for that energy to go. So if we mine the lithium, manufacture the batteries, build the battery banks in the state, we're making money every step of the way. And there's technology coming out with batteries where you can use that lithium to make solid state battery drives,
right,
to where you can charge them to 100%, and the life cycle is almost unending, which means we won't have the waste that we would have previously. So we can continue making money off of those batteries for who knows how long.
Wow.
So you have a $1 trillion market cap based on the resource. Then you have that manufacturing of it, and then you have the selling it back to the grid. And guess what the byproduct of that lithium mining is going to be?
What's that?
Fertilizer.
Okay.
We have the potential to be the number 2 supplier of fertilizer or nitric fertilization outside of Canada.
Okay.
So there's your byproduct, more money.
Wow.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Right.
But what are
Right.
we doing about it?
I don't know.
Right now, companies from Texas are going to be capitalizing
There's
on
oil
it.
companies down there. I know. I mean,
There's oil
that are-
companies down there, and we have the capability to do it ourselves. But these Texas companies are coming and selling Arkansas that they're the ones that can do it best, the ones that can do it safest. But they're going to take it from our ground and move it to Texas and do all of the second and third order effects. It's
From
going to
Texas.
provide, for Texas.
Right.
So it's going to come out of the ground for Arkansas, and then and then go and make money for Texas for 150 years.
Wow. Wow. I've had a little bit of we've done some work down there, and I've been around that business down there a little bit, but not to that extent.
How many Texas license plates did you see?
They're out there. I mean, I know there's a reason I say I know that there's oil companies Texas over there doing it.
Yep.
Absolutely, because you can. I mean, they're visible.
Yeah.
Very much. Yeah.
And
Wow.
that's our grandkids' inheritance.
Yeah. Yeah. What a shame. I mean, we have to capitalize where we can because we don't. I mean, clearly we're economically at the bottom of most things, right?
We are, and that's not who we are. I tell people all the time, you don't get to choose where you start in life. Like I didn't get to choose that I was going to be born to a single mom in the Delta, impoverished, right?
Right.
But I can change and create the environment in which I end this race on.
Right.
So, I tell people, I was like, it's good that we're at the bottom. 'Cause
Yeah.
we've got stuff to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Insightful. So, Secretary of State, your goal will be to increase economic opportunity
Yeah.
for the state to bring business here.
What problems are solved when people don't have to worry about making ends meet?
Right. Right.
I mean, think about the second, third order effects of that. When you are financially stable and you're secure and you have a good home, you have a decent car,
Right.
and you know where your next meal is coming from, and you're not worried about that, what are you not looking to?
That's where people's stress comes from.
Exactly.
Money.
And you're not looking to
Absolutely.
drugs. You're
Right.
not looking to cope out. You're not
Right.
looking to self-medicate. You're content. You're happy.
Right.
How many other downstream effects are going to be solved just by that one measure
A lot.
alone, right?
I recognize that.
And then-
Crime, lots of things. I
Yeah.
mean,
And with more
Yeah.
money comes more education, which means now your population is getting more astute, more ability to work higher end jobs to thereby gain financially better based on that employment. And the cycle of poverty is broken. Because poverty is a disease that you
Right.
keep yourself in. It's a
generational.
choice.
Absolutely.
It's a choice.
Yeah. No question.
And
Right.
so what I want to do is provide you an opportunity to choose.
Everybody doesn't know it, I'm afraid, and that's education.
Yeah.
Right.
You can get stuck.
Yeah.
A lot of people sadly get stuck.
Yeah. Wild. Yeah. I hate that. And we need somebody to change it.
If
No
nothing
question.
changes, nothing changes, Chris.
Right.
I'm not a politician. I
Right.
don't want to be a politician. I'm not looking to be governor. I don't want to go to DC. My wife would divorce me.
Right. Right.
I'm looking to solve a problem, and it's selfish.
Right.
I fully admit that. It's 100% selfish. Because in 13 to 15 years, my kids are going to look at me and they're going to say, Dad, I love you. I love Arkansas, but I want to thrive in this world and not just survive. And in order to do that, I got to go to Texas. Or I got to go to
Absolutely.
Tennessee, or I got to go to Florida.
Absolutely.
And then here I am. If I want to have a relationship with my kids or my future grandkids, what do I got to do? I got to go.
Yeah, I was just talking with somebody about that the other day. Brain drain.
It's real in Arkansas.
Absolutely. Our best and our brightest get up and go somewhere else for more opportunity because the opportunity doesn't exist here.
Can
for
you blame them?
No, I understand. Absolutely. I mean,
There's not a whole lot of places in Arkansas to go except for Northwest Arkansas or another state.
And how many people in this state travel for work to make a good living?
I don't know.
A lot.
Yeah,
How many people do you know work in the oil fields of the Dakotas,
sure.
the oil
Right.
fields of Texas?
Right.
How many people go up to Wyoming to do stuff?
Right.
How many people commute down to Florida? How many people live in the Delta but drive over the border to Tennessee to work every day? Right? Why?
Because because the opportunities aren't here. Right?
Exactly.
They have to be. Yeah.
So problem,
Right.
find a solution.
Yeah. So awesome. Very insightful. Again, good to hear. That's solid plans. You don't hear that very often, right? From people
yeah.
running for office. The Secretary of State is also responsible for election integrity, right?
Yep.
And you obviously intend to look at. So I say the Secretary of State's responsible for election integrity. They also. It's my understanding that we are number one in election integrity in the United States, out of all states, right? And I'm going to take that back and say, and you want to change the way we do it, but we're number one. What's going on?
Okay. What does number one mean? right? We're also number one in affordability, but then we're number one in food insecurity. So how does that math out, right? Well, the Heritage Foundation did rank us number one for election integrity, but they also ranked Georgia number one for election integrity back in 2020.
Okay.
And we've all seen how that's worked out, right?
Okay.
That's because on paper, we do have good laws, but laws are only as good as they're enforced. And that's just the process. That's not the manner in which the elections take place. And I don't make laws as a Secretary of State. And our state is organized to where the counties get to decide how they vote. I can tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to punish counties for doing something different than what the state necessarily wants them to do. I'm not going to withhold funding for them because they're not doing it the way that I want to. No, if the people of that county want to do something a certain way, then do it. What my responsibility is to make sure that it's accurate and fair. And I can promise you this, one of the very first things that I will do is I will audit 100% every election that is under my purview. 100% of every county of every election will be audited all the way through. Not 10%, not a select few, not just a couple of counties, every single one of them. So yes, county clerks, I know that you don't want to hear that. Yes, election commissioners, I know that you don't want to do the extra work, but the responsibility of that falls upon me. I will help you get there, but we will audit every election all the way through. Why? Because the people deserve it. You deserve to have that. One, you did your machine count check. Two, you did your, maybe if you're doing paper, you did your paper ballot check by hand. And then now we're coming behind you and we're just going to validate that everything was above board. And we're going to spot check people and it's going to be unannounced. So when you're running elections, you're going to have people from the Secretary of State's office that just randomly show up and are just going to be there to make sure that things are going the way that they should be. They're not going to interfere. They're not going to tell you how to do things, but they're going to make sure that you're not doing things illegally and untoward. And you're not going to know them. You're not going to know when they're coming. They're just going to randomly show up at different places. And that's how you can manage that system. If you never know when you're going to be checked, if you never know how you're going to be checked, but you know that the possibility is very, very likely that you're going to be checked, you're more likely to do the right thing. And there's a lot of different ways that we can go about that. We have a lot of resources. We have a lot of technology. We have a lot of tools in our toolkit to make that happen. And we're going to do it in a way that is going to ensure that the people's will is reflected at the ballot box, because that's what we owe them.
Wow. Okay. Well, where do your qualifications come from? What have you done to know these things and to believe you can hold a position like this and do it well?
Well, I'm an American citizen.
Right.
That's my birthright.
Right.
I won the lottery by being born.
Right.
So there's my qualifications.
Right.
Now, there's difference between our system and being qualified and being able to perform the duties.
Sure.
Right? So how am I able to execute on the duties of the Secretary of State?
What are you drawing from? Yeah.
I'm drawing from a life. The Secretary of State's office is a managerial leadership position.
Okay.
Right? And I have more than enough leadership experience throughout my time in service. I've led in combat. I led in garrison. I have written doctrine. I have written policy. I have worked in foreign nations as a foreign exchange officer to get them to align with us on our objectives and support us in our missions, whether that's in Africa or the Middle East or wherever, and been successful. And then I transitioned from that government role into the corporate American role and started out in the lowest level as a project manager for a company. And now I'm basically, one of the top two, top three project managers for a global Fortune 500 company.
Okay.
Right. So I manage hundreds of millions of dollars in assets across the globe, affecting a $5 billion company and what it does and how it manufactures things, how it operates with its customer service, how it does all these things. And I've always came in on time, under budget, and achieved delivery success. And how do you know that? Well, when you start it, you have to be able to define success, right? If you can't define success, how can you ever get there? Right?
Right.
So I always define success and then implement the plan in which it takes to achieve that end state of success. And that's what I'm going to do at the Secretary of State's office. Everything that I'm telling people as I'm going out doing stuff, I'm keeping a log of. And on day one, it's going on a board. And I've got two choices. Either I can put a check mark next to that promise and deliver on it, or I owe you an explanation as to why I didn't. And there may be a good reason why I don't deliver on something that I thought about, because information can change, right? Right. And I'm not pigeonholed. but I will at least give you an explanation as to why I did not finish that promise and be held accountable to you. And maybe you agree with me, maybe you won't, but I owe that to you. At the end of the day, I'm going to do whatever I think is right for the people in general, which includes Democrats and liberals, which includes independents,
Right.
as much as it does conservatives. But what is going to move us forward to be more financially stable, to be more secure in our elections, and to have capital grounds that are the envy of the nation?
Nice. Wow. Yeah, that's a you got a lot going on there. You had, I mean, you got a heck of a history, right? A resume.
Well, a lot of I
supports
had to
you
get
being
I
in
had
the
to get
position.
very comfortable with uncomfortable early on in life, right? When I joined the Army, I was in college at Arkansas State University, and then all of a sudden you're transformed into this new environment where everybody's yelling at you and you can't do anything right. And then I get my first duty assignment in Hawaii, which is awesome.
Right.
But then shortly after I land in Hawaii, I'm in Afghanistan, which is very uncomfortable.
Right.
And, people, a lot of people just race for comfort. They embrace it and they want to stay in it. But there's beauty in getting uncomfortable.
A lot.
There's true value there. Right?
Absolutely.
You may not like it. You may not want to do it. But the fruits that it's going to provide for you cannot be understood until you come on the other side of it, right?
Right.
I learned that very early on, that hard things are hard because they're worth it.
Right.
And if you're willing to do it, right? I learned that in Afghanistan. I learned that throughout my military career. And then I learned that how to transition and to be successful in the civilian workforce. Being direct and being obtuse and being directive doesn't work in corporate America. And can I expect 700 people to change to me? Or should I be one person that changes to 700 people?
Right.
Right? And so that's what I had to do to be successful. And I'm not afraid of that, to adapt, to be successful. And I'm going to have to build relationships. I'm going to have to work with people that might necessarily not like me. I'm going to have to work with people right now that don't like what I'm saying and bridge that gap.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. You don't have to agree with everything that it is I say and every standpoint I come from. And that is completely fine. But give me a chance. I bet we agree on a lot more than we disagree on. So how can we do more to move the needle and progress for the state of Arkansas and its citizens, and not fight amongst one another on the 10% that we just don't like?
Right. Man, that's great. I'm a lot going on. A lot of. I'm excited. You make it exciting, right?
I'm excited about this state, man. I think we have a once in multiple lifetime opportunity to see something that our state has never seen. We have phenomenal people. It wasn't very long ago that I had a head-on collision in Batesville, Arkansas, and my daughter was in the car with me. Pretty shocking event, right? What happened after that accident, I pulled my daughter aside and I said, do you see this traffic? Do you see everything that's happening right now? Do you realize that traffic is not because of our accident? That traffic is because so many people have stopped and gotten out of their vehicle to just check on us and make sure that we're okay. I have lived all over the world. I have lived in multiple states. You don't find this everywhere else. People care about one another here. And we've got great people. We have industrious people. We're the people that built the world's largest retailer. We're the people that have Tyson that feed the world in poultry products. We have farmers that feed the world from the Delta. We're the people that figured out a lock and levee system to drain the Mississippi River and control one of the most powerful rivers in the world and cultivate farmland that provides food for the world. We navigated the Ozarks and built pasture land. We have done amazing things, and we are not being represented the way that we should be. We are not known across the nation for our industriousness. We are not known across the nation for what we provide. We're an afterthought. And it's time that we puff our chest out a little bit and tell the rest of the nation and world, no, we've let you think that for far too long. It's going to change. Now you're going to deal with this on our terms, and we're going to start manifesting our own destiny. And our children are going to face with the decision of, do I want a Rolls Royce or do I want a Porsche?
Wow. Man, really, that's it's motivating stuff. It's exciting. You make it exciting, and I don't think most people are excited about Arkansas business. I don't think very few. There are some, but the opportunity, you make it seem like it's real, like it could happen.
It can happen.
Yeah.
Nothing is impossible. Everything is impossible until someone does it the first time.
Right.
Electricity was impossible. Going to space was impossible. You know, a self-driving car was impossible.
Right.
A computer to live stream this video across the world to see it in real time was
Right.
impossible not that long ago, until someone figured out how to do it. So don't tell me that it can't be done. You're just willing to not do it. I'm willing to do it. There's a difference.
Excellent. I mean, you got my vote. You've sold me. I'm super excited. If you'd like to tell our listeners, our viewers, you know,
No.
yeah, I feel like you've said it, you know,
Yeah.
but if you could wrap it up in a nutshell, or if you have anything else you'd like to say, please.
What I'd like to tell you is I just want the opportunity to earn your vote. I don't expect you to give it to me. No one's ever given me anything, and I don't want you to start. But just give me a fair opportunity to earn it from you. You know where I stand. I'm not going to change. I probably don't sound like every other politician that you've ever heard before, and that's because I'm not a politician. And I don't want to be a politician. I want to be a steward of a seat that's owned by you for a brief moment in time and do everything that I physically can to make it better, to hand it off to the next person that will make it even better. And I want to do it for you. I want to serve you again. I served you for 21 years in uniform throughout our nation's longest war. I didn't let you down then, and I don't plan to start now. You give me a chance.
Hey, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Kate, if you don't have anything, that concludes the episode of Business and Politics Inside with Bryan Norris for Secretary of State of Arkansas. Look for him to be on the primary ballot, the Republican primary ballot in March, I believe March 3rd.
Yep. Early voting starts February 16th.
Right. Early voting February 16th, final date March 3rd. And look forward to seeing.
You know what I forgot?
Yeah, please.
If you want to help, you can go to bryannorris.org. See, I'm not a politician. I always forget.
Right.
I hate asking, for financial contribution. But if you're capable in your means and this touched you and you want to, you can go to bryannorris.org, find a way to support us there, even if it's just volunteering or following me on social media to help spread this message out to other people.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, sir.
Yep. Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Same.